Happy Thursday, everybody. My name is Steve, and welcome to Rank the World, the podcast where a young white guy shares what he thinks about a variety of topics in a tier list format, because that's exactly what the world needed more of. Now, for those of you who are listening in for the first time, this is what I like to call a homemade podcast, meaning I'm not recording in a full studio. I do use a nice XLR microphone with an audio interface, but that's about where the list of professional equipment ends. I'll do my best to minimize background noise, but if a train goes by or a plane bursts into flames or my neighbors start jumping up and down while I'm in the middle of talking, I'm not going to start the whole thing over. Sound like a deal? Okay. One last thing before we begin. If you enjoy this podcast and want to see more of what I make, go check out my links at allmylinks.com/derherrsturm. That's DERHERRSTURM. That's got links to my Twitch, my YouTube, my merch store over at Redbubble, and my Twitter, where you can stay up to date with what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. It's definitely not the same sort of thing as you can listen to here, but who knows? You may find a thing or two worth enjoying. Now, with that all out of the way, let's get started with today's topic. I'm going to level with you here, audio listeners. I'm a little hungry, and for a lot of people here in America, when they're hungry, their best option is a nice little fast food place. Isn't necessarily the most healthy option, but you know what? Fact of the matter is, the most healthy option isn't a viable pick for a lot of people. Now, I hear a lot of people talk about online which fast food places are good and which ones are bad and which ones are better than others. And you know what? Me, being a big guy who likes to eat food and has done business with a good number of these locations, I figured, you know what? I might as well weigh in as well. So that will be this week's topic, fast food joints. Now, there are some locations on this list here that I have not been to yet, and as such, I will not be judging today. Among those locations are places like Bojangles and Church's Chicken and Jollibee and Long John Silver's. But the first place we're going to be talking today is A&W. I've been to a decent number of these locations, and admittedly, the best thing on their menu is their root beer. But the rest of the menu isn't half bad either. If you go there and you get some food with your root beer, you're not going to throw up in your mouth. Admittedly, again, it's not the best food either, but they do a decent job with the stuff they make, like hot dogs, burgers and fries, the average fast food sort of deal. So I think all things considered, although the food isn't stellar, the drinks are pretty good, and all around A&W is a B-tier fast food joint. Next, we have Arby's. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say that Arby's is good, but I'm also not going to say what everyone else always says about Arby's and say that Arby's is a heap of trash. It's fine. It's just that. It has a menu that not a whole lot of other fast food joints have, and I think that is what really sets it apart from other locations. Best thing about their menu probably has to be their curly fries, but then again, it is really hard to screw up a curly fry. Without any sauces like their horsey sauce or any other kind of sauce that they may have, their sandwiches are kind of bland. But I don't know. Arby's gets a lot more hate than I think it deserves, but it's not phenomenal either. So I think all things considered, Arby's is a C-tier fast food joint. Next, we have Boston Market. I only remember one time I've ever had food at a Boston Market, and I remember it fondly. It very much feels like quick and convenient home-cooked food, if that makes sense. Stuff like cornbread, mashed potatoes, pot roast, that kind of deal. I remember it fondly. I haven't been able to find any other locations since then, so that opinion may be outdated, but as far as I'm concerned right now, until I've had a Boston Market meal that changes my mind, I am going to rank it A tier. Next, we have Burger King. I don't like Burger King. They do have a sort of unique taste with their burgers, but that's not necessarily a good thing. A lot of the times I've gotten Burger King, their sides have been either soggy or just feel heavy and not very good. Probably the best thing that sets Burger King apart from the rest of the fast food locations I'm going to be talking about today is that this location, apart from one other that I'm going to be talking about later, was one of the first places that got that really customizable Coca-Cola drink machine. So I think just that on its own just barely keeps it out of F tier, but on all other fronts, Burger King isn't very good. D tier. Next, we have Raising Cane's. There are only two things about this place that are not phenomenal. The fact that the only way to get some real flavor out of the chicken is to use the sauce, and the coleslaw is meh. By all other measurable metrics, I believe Raising Cane's is phenomenal. As far as I'm concerned, in terms of fast food chicken, there is only one place that comes to mind that does it better than Raising Cane's. Not even to mention, their drinks, phenomenal. I don't think I need to say anything more. Raising Cane's, I would say, is an A tier location. Next, we have Carl's Jr. I would judge Carl's Jr. as Burger King without anything that makes Burger King feel unique. F tier. Next, we have Chick-fil-A. The food tastes good. However, putting more things into context, like the kind of company they are, I don't like them. If you put the vast range of chicken places that serve chicken, if you lay them all out on the table before me, I'm not going to pick Chick-fil-A. So pretty much summary, good food, not good company. It balances everything out to C tier. Next, we have Chipotle. I don't get it. I don't get the hype behind Chipotle. It's pretty much Subway for Mexican-style food. I hear people sing its praises here and there and everywhere, and I don't know. I don't get it. Chipotle, C tier. Next, we have Culver's, or as I like to call it, one of the few jewels of the Midwest. Their burgers, phenomenal. Their sides, phenomenal. Their ingredients, delicious. Their custard, also delicious. I cannot think of a single menu item that I have ordered at Culver's that was not delicious. Admittedly, it is a decent wait time to get that food, but as far as I'm concerned, it is worth the wait. Culver's is an S tier fast food location. Next, we have Denny's. Denny's, I would say, is good for one of very few things. It is a nice diner location to go to when there are no other options. Everything on their menu that I've had is meh at best, and my experience with Denny's as an establishment has very much been carried by the people I go to these establishments with, my dear friends. All things considered, I would say Denny's is a D tier location. Next, we have Domino's Pizza. I'm going to say about Domino's what I can probably apply to every single pizza joint I'm going to be talking about today, except for one. It is really good when you don't have a hater spitting in your ear that it sucks. Admittedly, a lot of the pizzas I've had from Domino's are very dry, but personally, I would prefer that over it being way too greasy. So I think all things considered, Domino's is a C tier fast food place. Next, we have Dairy Queen. You should go to Dairy Queen for one thing and one thing only: the ice cream. I have only had the displeasure of having legitimate food from Dairy Queen, stuff other than ice cream, once, and it was not good. To their credit, their ice cream is decent, but that's about it. And for those reasons, I will be putting Dairy Queen in D tier. Next, we have Five Guys. Five Guys is the borderline perfect location if you like having an empty wallet. The quality of their food is very, very good. Decent wait times, but it is worth the wait. But it is so very expensive. You can probably shell out $20, $30, maybe even $40 for just a single meal. By far, out of all the fast food locations we're going to be talking about today, Five Guys has to be the most expensive to go to. And, admittedly, to its credit, this was the first fast food place where I was able to use one of those really customizable Coca-Cola machines, so props to them for that, but I don't know, just because of the cost, I can't in good conscience put Five Guys any higher than A tier. Next we have IHOP. I can pretty much summarize IHOP as Denny's, but way better. Solid B tier location. Next we have In-N-Out Burger. Now currently, as of recording, I am living out in California where there are In-N-Out burgers aplenty. In terms of price, I would say they're pretty on par with McDonald's or Burger King or that sort of tier of fast food establishment. Their menu is severely limited compared to other places like it, like again, McDonald's or Burger King. But the few items that they do have on their menu, I think for the price, they do very well. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's the best burger that money can buy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that any of these burgers we're going to be talking about here today are the best burgers that money can buy. But in terms of price to performance, I am hard-pressed to think of a better deal. So all things considered, In-N-Out Burger is an A-tier establishment. Next, we have Jack in the Box, which I cannot distinguish apart from Carl's Jr. in terms of taste and general atmosphere to the food, I suppose. They are very similar, and I have a distaste for both. So Jack in the Box is an F-tier establishment. Next we have Jersey Mike's, one of many sandwich shops we're going to be talking about today. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Out of all these sandwich shops we're going to be talking about today, I think Jersey Mike's is the best. They have the perfect blend of taste of bread, the feel of the bread, the quality of the ingredients, the overall experience, everything. I think out of all these sandwich shops, Jersey Mike's does it the best. A tier. Next we have Jimmy John's. To keep it short and simple, I would judge Jimmy John's as Jersey Mike's, but just slightly worse. Their bread does have a very distinct feel and taste to it, but other than that, it doesn't have a whole lot that sets it apart from other sandwich shops. Therefore, I will be placing Jimmy John's into B tier. Next, we have KFC, which I will pass judgment as Popeyes, but worse. I don't think I've been to a single Kentucky Fried Chicken that wasn't dirty, that didn't have subpar food, and overall did not stack up to the quality and experience that you can get at other chicken establishments. D tier. Next, we have Little Caesars Pizza, which I would describe as Domino's, but cheaper. But then again, you get what you pay for. To its credit, in terms of like a $5 or $10 pizza, it's hard to beat what Little Caesars can deliver. But in the great scheme of things, in terms of quality, I don't think Little Caesars stands up to its competitors. So although I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Little Caesars is trash and awful and you should never ever go there, I'm also not going to say out of all the pizza places that you can go to, Little Caesars is the best pick. Therefore, I will be placing Little Caesars in D tier. Next, we have McDonald's. In terms of consistency, in terms of accessibility, I think McDonald's is really hard to beat. In the great scheme of things, I think they have really good competitive prices, and I think they have the quality of ingredients and food to match. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that McDonald's has the greatest burgers or the greatest service or the greatest fries, but on all of those fronts, I would say my experience with McDonald's has been pretty good. Not great, not meh, not bad, just pretty good. So for all those reasons, I will be placing McDonald's into B tier. Next, we have Moe's. Now, unlike Chipotle, I sort of get Moe's. Admittedly, I've only been to a single Moe's location, but I have done business with them a lot, and I enjoy the kind of food that they make. So I think all things considered, Moe's to me is Chipotle but better. B tier. Next, we have Panda Express, the only Asian food establishment we will be covering today. I think it's unfortunate that there are not more competitors in this market specifically, but Panda Express, it's fine. C tier. Next, we have Panera Bread. Their bread and their pastries are very good. Everything else is all right at best. Much like other establishments like Five Guys or like Culver's, Panera is a little more pricey than other sandwich shops. You get what you pay for a little bit, but not nearly to the degree as other places like Culver's or other establishments we'll be talking about later. So for those reasons, I will be putting Panera Bread into B tier. Next, we have Papa John's, which if you ask me, out of all of the pizza parlors that we'll be talking about today, Papa John's to me feels the most unique in terms of branding and in terms of their food. I can't say much more about Papa John's that I haven't said about other pizza places. It feels very much like Domino's, but with just a little more personality behind it. So I will be putting Papa John's into B tier. Next, we have Pizza Hut, my personal favorite out of all the pizza places we're going to be talking about today. Admittedly, the sauce, too sweet. I don't like how sweet the pizza sauce is, but on all other fronts, I simply like their ingredients more and their menu options more. So although I don't think it's quite good enough to make it into A tier, I would say Pizza Hut is a solid B tier establishment. Next, we have Popeyes. If you asked me whether I wanted to go to Cane's or Popeyes a certain number of times, let's say like 10, 20, 30 times, I would probably say Popeyes just about as often as I would say Cane's. I think in terms of general quality and experience, they're about the same, but each place does certain things better than the other. Popeyes, I think, does a better job of seasoning their chicken without any sauce. I think Cane's has better sides, but then again, Popeyes has a bigger variety of sides. It's a whole give and take. So I think to save time out of really going in depth about this, I'm going to be putting Popeyes in A tier. Next, we have Portillo's, which if you ask me is the de facto Midwestern establishment. I would say the only bit of criticism I have for it is it takes a while for the food to be ready. It's also a little pricey, but I would say you get more than what you pay for here. I have not had a single order from Portillo's that was not absolutely delicious, and I think for all those reasons, I will be putting Portillo's into S tier. Next, we have Potbelly, my second favorite out of all the sandwich shops we're going to be talking about today. I'm not quite sure whether it's their sourcing for their ingredients or the way they prepare the sandwiches. There's something about Potbelly that gives it a distinct flavor apart from all the other locations. And something about that flavor really resonates with me. Not too expensive, it's no Panera, it's not as fresh as Jersey Mike's, but darn it, I'd say it's an A tier establishment. Quiznos, on the other hand, I don't like very much. Out of all the sandwich shops we're talking about today, I would say Quiznos is the worst. Now, I'm not going to actively avoid Quiznos if it's the only place available, but given a plethora of options, I would not pick Quiznos. D tier. Next we have Sbarro. I don't get the hype behind Sbarro. It's just big pizza. It's New York pizza, and it's very greasy. I don't particularly care for it. It's kind of good, I guess. I haven't been disappointed by anything I've gotten from there, but I would not say it deserves the praise that it gets. C tier. Next we have Shake Shack, my personal favorite place to get a burger, at least from the establishments we're going to be talking about today. I think that Shake Shack is a really healthy middle ground between the quality of food you get and overall experience between Culver's and Five Guys. I don't think it's nearly as egregiously expensive as Five Guys, although it is not cheap by any means, but a lot more than Five Guys, you get way more than you pay for. I will be placing Shake Shack into S tier. Next we have Sonic, which is alright, I guess. Not phenomenal on any front. Their drinks are pretty good. They're the best part about Sonic. But I'm not going to be going to any of these locations just based on what drinks they have. Sonic is a C tier establishment. Next we have Steak and Shake, which in terms of quality and feel is sort of similar to Carl's Jr. and Jack in the Box. I can't quite put my finger on what it is about Steak and Shake, but unlike Carl's Jr. or Jack in the Box, I kind of like this place. Their shakes, I think, are phenomenal. Third only to Portillo's and Shake Shack. And although the quality of the food isn't phenomenal, it's fine enough. B tier. Next, we have Subway. I used to hate this place. I did not like the establishment. I did not like the ingredients they used. I didn't really like the process all that much. But as the years go by, it's growing on me. Now, I don't like it quite as much as other sandwich shops we've talked about today, but I would say all in all, Subway is a C tier establishment. It's fine. Next, we have Taco Bell. I would not call this Mexican food. I'm not sure what I would classify this as other than just Taco Bell. It's fine if you want something that tastes kind of like a taco, quickly and cheaply. It has some good drink variety that you can't really get anywhere else, and it has some menu options that you can't really get anywhere else as well. I don't think it's quite in the same tier as Moe's, but I don't think it's quite in the same tier as Chipotle either. So you know what? I'm going to be placing Taco Bell into B tier and then moving Moe's into A. Next, we have Wendy's. Objectively, Wendy's is probably one of the better burger establishments that we're talking about today. But personally, I'm sort of tired of it. It has a very unique taste to it, yes, but maybe it's because I've had too much of Wendy's in the same period of time, I don't know. I'm not big on Wendy's anymore. So I think all things considered, for me, I would place Wendy's into C tier. Next is Whataburger. Although the quality of the food is very much akin to Carl's Jr. and Jack in the Box, unlike those places, Whataburger has something called a Dr. Pepper shake, which is absolutely delicious. It's not as good of a milkshake as you could get at Shake Shack or Portillo's or Steak and Shake. Actually, I take that last one back. I would say it's just about as good as a Steak and Shake shake. So I think just because of that Dr. Pepper shake, Whataburger just barely squeaks it into D tier. Next, we have Wiener Schnitzel, which is good for one thing and one thing only, I would say. To get a lot of hot dog style food, in air quotes, for really cheap. I don't think there's any sort of personality to the taste or the environment other than you're getting food for real cheap. I am going to be putting Wiener Schnitzel, for those reasons, into F tier. And then finally, we have Wingstop, which to me is the best chicken establishment we're going to be talking about today. I would describe Wingstop as Buffalo Wild Wings, but slightly better, more convenient, and cheaper. I absolutely love Wingstop and the stuff I've gotten from there. So I think for those reasons, I will be placing Wingstop into S tier. So, to summarize, in F tier, we have Carl's Jr., Jack in the Box, and Wiener Schnitzel. In D tier, we have Burger King, Denny's, Dairy Queen, KFC, Little Caesar, Quiznos, and Whataburger. In C tier, we have Arby's, Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, Domino's, Panda Express, Sbarro, Sonic, Subway, and Wendy's. In B tier, we have Pizza Hut, A&W, IHOP, Jimmy John's, McDonald's, Panera, Papa John's, Steak and Shake, and Taco Bell. In A tier, we have Raising Cane's, Boston Market, Five Guys, In-N-Out, Jersey Mike's, Popeyes, Potbelly, and Moe's. And in S tier, we have Shake Shack, Culver's, Portillo's, and Wingstop. And that's about it for this episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed, feel free to follow the podcast on your platform of choice, including Spotify, YouTube, Pocket Casts, and Anchor. This was a shorter episode, much like last week, but you know what? I'll be back next week with another new topic. But until then, you all have yourselves a damn good one.